Hi everybody, welcome back to Karen Puzzles. So one of the requests that I get the most from you guys is that you want me to try wooden puzzles, and that's what we're doing today. I have two puzzles here that I'm going to be comparing. One is from the company Wentworth, and this one is from Puzzle Michele Wilson. I haven't really done a lot of wooden puzzles, so I'm really excited to dig into these. Full disclosure though, both of them were sent to me for the purposes of this video. They're not cheap, so I just want to make sure that you guys know that. Puzzle Michele Wilson especially have been so supportive of me from the beginning. Whoever runs their Instagram is liking every single one of my posts, so I want to say an extra thank you to them for really being on board with my puzzle channel. So they sent me a 350 piece puzzle and Wentworth sent me a 500 piece puzzle. So I'm going to take a look at both of these and compare the quality, the price, the availability, everything you would want to know. So let's get started. So I decided to start with Puzzle Michele Wilson, and they sent me this 350 piece puzzle of a jungle scene. The box feels really high quality and it's really shiny. Here's a close-up of the front with a nice bright puzzle image. On the side is info about the artist, info about the puzzle, the same thing in French, and then the company name in gold foil, which I think is a really nice touch. On the back is a lot of info about the company, and they explain how these puzzles are hand cut, which is a very labor-intensive process. So I'm excited to get into it. So if we open it up, we have a bag with the pieces and a little catalog. The bag has a sticker on it that I translated, and it's basically just saying that it was quality control checked in January of this year. But I love the little handwritten touch. It makes it feel really special. So these pieces are beautiful and they feel so nice. I love the blue on the back. It's so bright and happy. And the wood feels really soft and just pleasant to handle. Here's a close-up of one of the pieces. You can see that it's pretty thick, really smooth on the sides where it's been cut, and the finish is very glossy. So these pieces are completely randomly cut, but there aren't any false edges, so I'll be able to separate those out. So that's what I did. I turned over all of the pieces and separated the edges, which didn't take long since it's only 350 pieces to go through. Here's another close-up of how the pieces look, and you can see the random piece shapes where no two pieces are even close to the same shape. So I got started on the edge, but since this puzzle is so small, I decided to work my way out from the corner rather than doing the full edge. Also, the pieces don't really lock together, so I thought it might help it feel more solid if I could get a large section finished rather than just the edge all the way around. So you can see how carefully I'm placing the pieces by just gently dropping them into place, because otherwise the pieces would kind of separate and slide around all over the table. So once I got to this point, I had a little brainstorm, so let me show you that. So I just finished transferring all the pieces onto this velvet board that they had sent me. Originally, I was just like, oh, that's nice of them. Now I realize that it is completely necessary to be able to do a puzzle like this, because when it was just on this slick table, all of these pieces just kept sliding all over the place and I couldn't keep the puzzle together. But now that I have the friction of this velvet backing, they're finally staying in place. So I'm probably like a quarter of the way done. I'm really liking this. These pieces being cut so randomly, it makes it really interesting to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish it up. So as I said, they had sent me this puzzle board along with the puzzle, and now I realize why they sent it, because you do need some kind of textured backing under the pieces, since they don't lock together the same way normal pieces would. You could totally make something like this yourself by gluing felt to a wood board, but just so you know, this puzzle is very frustrating to do on a slick surface, so I wouldn't recommend trying that. So even though the pieces moved around less on the textured board, I did still have to be careful placing each one because they're so small and there are so many little notches on each one. This definitely gave it a very meditative feel. If I wasn't trying to film myself and control multiple cameras at the same time, I would definitely be zoning out while working on this and feeling very calm and focused. It's just very zen. So if you're going to try it, you definitely need a calm environment to do this in without like pets running into your table or anything. So I want to talk about the random piece cuts. They definitely made the puzzle harder than typical jigsaw puzzles because you don't really know what shape of piece you're looking for. You only know what's happening on the side that connects the piece to the main body of the puzzle, but the other side of the piece could be any shape in the world. Plus, they do something really interesting. They cut a lot of the pieces along the color lines, which makes this much harder since you don't have the edge of the adjacent piece telling you what color to look for. So this puzzle doesn't have any specialty shapes cut out like the Wentworth puzzle does that I'll show you in a minute. Instead, some of the elements in the puzzle itself are cut out along the edges of that image. It definitely makes it harder, but in a fun way, not a frustrating way, since clearly I was able to continuously move forward on the puzzle and I never really got stuck. So this is actually how they used to make puzzles back before mass manufacturing and die cutting was invented. People would sit at scroll saws and cut out wood like this back in the early 1900s, and a lot of them would cut along the color lines just like this puzzle does. So it definitely felt very old school, and I felt like I had a glimpse of what jigsaw puzzles used to be like for like our great-grandparents. So this puzzle took me just under 2 hours, which is a little more than I would have expected for a 350 piece puzzle, but I really enjoyed it. You just have to be prepared going in to be a little delicate with it and to know that you'll have to place every piece very carefully. You can see now that it's all together how the pieces kind of move and expand when I run my hand over it. And I'm just running my hand flat over the whole thing, so you can see how much it truly does not lock together. The pieces come apart very easily, but it is easy to push it all back together, and they do have a tight fit once it's all tightened up. So I'll talk about the pricing and everything at the end, but for now, let's move on to Wentworth Puzzles. So Wentworth Puzzles have a bit of a cult following, and you guys have asked for a review, so I'm so excited to try one out. The box feels really nice. Here's a close-up so you can see the design of the one that they sent me. And here is what the sides of the box look like. Pretty simple, really well designed. And then here's all the info on the back, and it's in many different languages, so clearly these are sold all over the world. If we open it up, the pieces actually come in a drawstring bag, which is so cute, and there's a little flyer where they advertise that you can actually get a custom Wentworth puzzle. But back to the pieces, I love this branded cloth bag. I think it's a really nice, high quality feature. So the pieces feel pretty nice. Not quite as soft as the wood used in Puzzle Michele Wilson, but they feel really solid and high quality. Here's a close-up of one of the pieces so you can see the texture of the wood. And here are pieces from both puzzles to compare. The Wentworth puzzle is less glossy, but they're about the same thickness. So Wentworth has some typical puzzle pieces, but they also have some more crazy shapes mixed in, and that's because those have to work around their specialty shaped pieces, which is something that they're known for. These pieces actually have some detail in them. You can see how the bicycle has these really thin lines cut out of it, and almost all of the specialty shaped pieces have some detail like that on them. So I started sorting the pieces, and Wentworth has fake edge pieces that are secretly inside pieces, but with this particular design, the edge has an orange border around it, so it was pretty easy to sort out the real edges from the fake ones. The pieces slide on the desktop really nicely. Here's another shot of me just moving them around because it was so fun. So for this one, I decided to start with the entire edge because the pieces have knobs on them like typical puzzle pieces, so they fully lock together. And since there are a lot of different colors going on in this image, I didn't have any trouble with the edge. Since the pieces are so thick, I never had any issue with pieces seeming to fit where they didn't go. Every single piece is completely unique. So here we are on the Wentworth puzzle. I just finished doing the edge and I am loving this so far. Since the pieces are so thick, they're so satisfying to drop into place, and it just is really beautiful. It smells really good, the smell of like burnt wood. It's almost like a campfire or a fireplace. So I'm really enjoying this. I'm not having any issues with it so far. Can't wait to finish it. So as I said, one of the first things I noticed about this puzzle was the smell. Since the lasers burn the wood to cut through it, it smells like a fireplace, and I can just see doing this at Christmas time with the family and it just being really cozy. I actually did a project in college that involved laser cut wood just like this, so the smell brought me right back to that. Who knew? I could have been making jigsaw puzzles this whole time. The pieces are really satisfying to drop into place, and you don't have to be quite as delicate as with the first puzzle, but sometimes you do have to wiggle them around a little for them to fit into place. And it's just really fun every time you find where one of the specialty pieces goes. So the picture they sent me is actually really similar to the collages on the White Mountain puzzles that I featured a few weeks ago. And I love collage images like this with lots of different textiles. Doing it today, I did look at the box, but I could totally see doing it again without looking at the picture, which would definitely make it more difficult. And that's something with both of these puzzles. Since they're fairly expensive, they're definitely something that you'll want to keep and do multiple times to really get your money's worth. I know that a lot of people collect Wentworth puzzles as family heirlooms, and it definitely feels high quality enough to be passed down through the generations. So now here is a little montage of me just fitting these pieces into place because it is just so satisfying to watch. So this puzzle only took me 90 minutes, which is actually less time than the first puzzle, even though it has 150 more pieces. And I think that's just because the pieces are more traditionally shaped and the cuts weren't along the color lines, so it was easier to find each piece that I was looking for. You can see that when it's finished, the pieces kind of expand and contract, but they're fully locked together. You can slide the entire puzzle around and nothing gets left behind. But you definitely couldn't pick this up. The pieces don't hold together to be able to pick up large sections. Oh, and one more little trick that I wasn't expecting. The corners have a diagonal cut, which makes them look like normal edge pieces, but they're actually corner pieces, so that was a fun little surprise. So I think this would be a fun puzzle to do with older kids, maybe in the 8 and up range. The pieces are thick enough that they can't really hurt them, and I think kids would enjoy finding all of the specialty shaped pieces. Unlike the first puzzle, these shapes don't follow any of the lines of the actual image. They're just kind of randomly placed, which is fine. Neither style is better or worse than the other. But here are a few of my favorite shaped pieces. I just think they're really, really beautiful. Alright, so overall, I think these are both beautiful, high-quality puzzles. I'm not going to say that either one is better or worse because they're just different, but I hope that my review has given you some details to think about if you're looking to get a wooden puzzle for yourself. But now, here's the biggie, the price. For the sake of comparison to Wentworth, I'm going to look at a 500-piece Puzzle Michele Wilson. It costs 130 euros, which is about 150 US dollars, which is a lot of money, but it's hand cut and not mass produced, so you are paying for hours and hours of skilled labor, so just keep that in mind. Whereas a Wentworth 500-piece puzzle costs $97.50, plus shipping to the United States brings it to $114. So a little less expensive, but definitely not cheap. But if you want to step up your puzzling game a little bit and really treat yourself, both of these are definitely really good options. Plus, they would both make really good gifts for the holidays. So I would love to know if any of you ever do wooden puzzles and if you think there are any other brands that I should try out. I'll be honest, I am completely new to the world of wooden puzzles, so I would love any suggestions. So your code word for watching all the way to the end of this double review video will be flower, because I just love this little flower piece from the Wentworth puzzle. Happy puzzling! I'll see you all next time.